1994, 200 hopeful singers tried out for a horror punk band in New Jersey called the Misfits. 19-year-old Michale Graves ended up replacing former singer Glenn Danzig and spent the next 5.5 years being the lead singer. The band had worldwide success, with sharing stages with groups like Cannibal Corpse, Anthrax, Rob Zombie, Marilyn Manson, and more. Graves left the band in 2000, and since then he has released several of his own records, hosts his own internet show, and is a mentor to young and upcoming artists. Tonight, I talk with Michale Graves on The Vinnie Langdon Show. Up world, what's going on, everybody? It's me, Vinnie Langdon, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Vinnie Langdon Show. That's right, 200 people auditioned for that band called the Misfits, and Michale Graves, you landed the gig. And first of all, welcome to the show. It's good to have you back.
It's awesome to be on your show again. It's great to see you.
Yeah.
It sucks that it's over a computer, but it's good to see you.
Right. I know, it's crazy.
I always love hanging out with you, and I always love talking to you.
Yeah, of course. I remember first time meeting you, you're just rolling around on a skateboard, and I'm like, dude, this dude is like low key. He's just legit. He's just, you're approachable just because you were in a quote unquote famous band, It's like, that's always cool. So let's go back. For those who do not know who you are, really, you sang for a band called the Misfits. And like I said in the opening package, around 200 people auditioned for this band. And besides you, were there any other notable, people that were trying to be in the Misfits that you know of?
No, not that I know of. Nobody that I know of that was actively seeking the role. I know that the band at the time were really trying to get Dave Vanian from The Dam to come and sing and do it. And Dave Vanian was doing other stuff or whatever the case, but thank God, I'm glad he never showed up, because I kept on hearing that he was going to show up.
Gotcha. No Joan Jett or, the guys from The Clash or The Who. They didn't want to be in the band, right?
No. And I know that Jerry and Doyle, really, they reached out to a lot of people. A lot of, people in the industry, and just people were doing stuff and didn't think it was the right fit. But 200 people, that's crazy. I was probably there for at least 190 of them.
That's right. It was like a revolving door, just people coming in and out. But that's pretty cool. And we can't talk about the Misfits and even rock and roll history without there's always band drama. And I think fans kind of fuel that fire of they're fascinated with it. They're obsessed with it. It's pretty funny, Michale, because we did an interview like 3 years ago, and I was, happy to say that it's got, over 25,000 views plus, it aired on TV too. But every day I get overwhelmed. I go through my YouTube comments and I'm like, that video is 3 years old and people are still commenting on it, and they have something to say of like, wow, I can't believe Michale Graves is a Christian. I can't believe he, did, is this. And it's just amazing how big of a following, you have, still to this day.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like a shotgun blast, actually. And I found that it's also like herding cats. You're right. There are so many people out there that have heard of me. They know who I am through the Misfits, and even a couple of days ago, there's people like, oh my God, I can't believe Michale Graves is still doing stuff. And that's been like that ever since I left the Misfits. It hasn't ever changed. It's crazy. And I guess one of the reasons is because I am so DIY. I don't have really a coordinated effort that would be able to through the years, capture all of these people, and be able to market to them, so that there's just people everywhere. So yeah, it constantly amazes me.
Right. Has there ever been a period in your life where you just said, you know what? Time out. Enough's enough. I do not want to be associated with the band, the Misfits. I just want to break away from that, stereotype every time they think of Michael Graves. Or because I know even for me,
Sure.
I'm like, oh man, I don't really want people to be like, oh, hey, there's Vinnie from the Vinnie Langdon Show. And it's like,
Yeah.
can I just go to like the store and like shop and like be in my mindset and not have to be like, okay, smile, hey, how are you? Sign an autograph, whatever. But for you, has there ever been a point, where you're like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I just need to go on a vacation for a while.
Oh yeah. There's yeah, a lot of the times. A lot of my life certainly has been overwhelming. Um, there was a dark time in my career that I didn't that uh, I rejected being associated with the band because of the way that it made me feel, and every time I had to talk about the band, it was in a negative context. It was always having to defend myself or to correct the record on something, and it just became such a bummer to always have to address and talk about the drama of things instead of having conversations or being asked about the art or the compositions, the music. Nobody ever sat down with me and really dug into the context of the music and the lyrics and where that came from and how it came to be, and how all of that was made and thought of. There's tons of unmined gold as far as information, and um, and so, yeah, I was just like, "Oh God, if I have to put this makeup on my face one more time, I'm gonna chop my face off."
Yeah.
If I have to put these pants on, these stupid duct tape pants, I always used to think in my mind, like, "What was I thinking?" Like, now I have to walk on stage, like, looking like this.
Right.
I really I hated it for a while,
Yeah.
but then things change.
Yeah. And not only were there, low points within the band, but there were some, I want to say, iconic moments like within a band that a lot of people don't experience, even if they're in a band today. Now,
Yeah.
like I mentioned to you before we started rolling camera, that I grew up as a big wrestling fan. And I remember like one night watching like WCW, and all of a sudden one of the wrestlers came out and they're like, whoa, it's the Misfits are, walking
Yeah.
out, walking down the ramp with,
Yeah.
this big tough guy. And what was your guys' real, association? I know there's a lot of rumors out there where, you guys were just a bunch of wannabe wrestlers and then you were going to perform on the show. Like,
Yeah.
what was the association with that? Do you remember?
I was definitely not a wannabe wrestler. I was interested in seeing how far I could the opportunity would take me. The opportunity to be in WCW came when the band went to South America, and I wasn't on that tour, which is a totally different story. But during uh, the South American tour, it took the band through Mexico where they had hooked up with Vampiro, and one thing led to another, and Vampiro got the band into the the company. The way that I saw it, and I was really excited about it because obviously we were a very physical band. We were very athletic. That was very clear. So us being in an environment like WCW was very natural for us, and it was just an easy thing to understand. So what I understood the project to be and the mission to accomplish to be was to um build the storyline, and use music and visuals and video as an extension of of the storylines that you see through WCW, but take it one step further and build those, like I said, the visuals and that world of WCW into another in the context of music, and which was very, very exciting because nobody really had done that. Music was always part of wrestling. It was a huge part of wrestling, but nobody ever took it that step further to see how far they could take it within the storyline and storytelling process. So it was really exciting. But that
Right.
got all screwed up because somebody in the band, Jerry, was really like really into wrestling, and he really wanted to compete, and he really and seriously, wanted a shot at like the heavyweight belt and stuff. And so it just didn't mix well with what was happening. And there was the company was at the end of, it was being bought out. And it was just the perfect storm of uh screwed up dysfunction again. It seems, in the Misfits.
Right,
And
right.
so the opportunity went away.
It happens, but hey, you guys had fun while it lasted. And,
Yeah.
speaking of theatrics, I know, you know, I mean, for those who don't know, the Misfits obviously started, back in 78. Michael, you didn't join the band, till a little bit much later on. But
Yeah.
when you joined the band, when you guys were out performing shows, where was that whole inspiration of, obviously you have the skeleton phase, Mr. Scarecrow, you have it already laid out. But what was, the drive to, you know, keep pushing it and keeping it and not, deciding one day, yeah, let's just, take all this, let's change our hair and put some wigs on. Cause, at that time, in the early 90s, still some of those even hair metal bands, I mean, they still were, they were starting to fade, but they were still
Yeah.
around. So for you guys to keep doing your punk rock, like you said, DIY stuff, what
Yeah.
kept you guys going with that?
Well, nothing can change Jerry and Doyle. They weren't going to change for anything. And for me, it was the perfect environment for me to thrive in. I love Marilyn Manson. I love Typo Negative. I was a big David Bowie fan. Uh, so it was just a natural thing to do what we were doing. Alice Cooper, and nobody else was doing it. Nobody else looked like us. And I always thought about, like, when I first saw Motley Crue, or the first time I saw Guns N' Roses on the TV, and when they first came out, you think it looks like, even like David Bowie or Marilyn Manson, it's like they came from a different planet. You look at them, you're just like, oh my God, where did these people come from?
Right.
And so it's like in the movies when you have that suspension of belief. And I really wanted that to be another layer of what we were.
Right, right. And I think, even recently, like the last 20 years, you go to concerts and I don't know, it's teenagers that are wearing, other bands' t-shirts and they're up on stage and they all look the same, they all sound the same.
Right.
And you kind
Right.
of just you'll go home and go, man, a couple beers later, you're like, man,
Yeah.
that first or second band was really good, but they look just like the third and the fourth band. So I don't remember what the hell their
Yeah.
names were.
Yeah,
So
for me, and staying in that creative head where there's a lot of other bands before their set, they're sitting around, they're drinking beers and they're talking about what girls they're going to hit on after the show. For somebody like me, before the show, I'm thinking about changing my makeup a little bit, or I'm building up a part of my pants to look real cool, or I'm putting paint somewhere on my shirt. I'm staying in this creative mind, which is then pouring over into the show because I'm getting into this character, and I'm touching these materials, and I'm it's a totally immersive thing. And as an artist, that as a creative, it uh, it's like, it's, I guess, I don't want to compare it to being a drug addict, but it's just that the more that you take in, the higher you can get. The
right.
more that creative and the more that energy you can muster by doing all those things and keeping your mind in that frame, the higher you can get.
Right. And just like acting, just staying in character
Yes.
and making it
Yeah.
believable. So that's awesome. And throughout the history of even the Misfit songs, do you have a count or an estimate of how many times the lyrics "Whoa" were in the songs?
Oh man. You know, there's a when you listen to American Psycho, after the beginning, the reason that American Psycho starts that way, the first thing you hear on that record is what? Is whoa, whoa, whoa. When I came into the band, that was such a cornerstone of everything I had learned. And so wanted to I I I thought that the record that's the first thing that the record should say to you upon hearing it is whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah, right.
whoa.
Nice, nice. Now, since your departure, with the Misfits, you went off and kind of took a little downtime for yourself, then, played with other, artists, different
Yeah.
collaborations along the way. But, you're still pumping out music. And, that's where we met a few years ago when you did not just a, United States tour, but I mean, like you mentioned, you were going to South America, you were going over
Yeah.
to Asia and Europe and just scrolling through your all the EPs, the singles, and the full lengths that you've put out in the last even 5 years is incredible. And
A lot of work.
you're like the music machine. So tell my viewers a little bit about just a couple of them that are some of your favorites that you put hard work into and
um,
you love and they should check out.
I love The World Turned Upside Down. I love that record. I think that my two favorite well, I love The World Turned Upside Down. Great record. Um I love how it sounds. I love the lyrics. I also love to listen to um Vagabond. That's a great record too. That was I put that out in like 2000 and I don't know, 12, 13. And yeah, there's so much music. Picking favorites is like it's like when you talk about your children. It's hard to pick your favorites. There's ones you there's ones that you like better than others,
Right.
but you can't start naming favorites.
Yeah, no, no, no. And
um,
it's interesting. Now, I know that you put out a lot of acoustic music, and then,
yeah,
following up maybe a year or two, then, you'll find the right band members and you'll make them, convert them to a full electric sound. Um, when you're go to the songwriting theories and whatnot, do you always pick up the acoustic guitar or piano and start that, or do you think of maybe you're having a bad
usually.
usually?
Think usually it starts on the piano and the acoustic guitar just because the piano or the acoustic guitar is readily available, or I'll write a lot of things that on the road, and so I don't have access to a guitar. But lately I've had access to an electric guitar. For example, I can just turn and hit a button and start to listen to sounds and make sounds that I can't make on an acoustic guitar, and it's I love doing it. But yes, a lot of the songs that I've written all through my career have begun on an acoustic guitar one way or another.
Right, right. And then recently, in the last couple of years, you kind of were motivated and you still are continuing your own, I guess you could call it your own internet radio show, the Michael Graves Show. And you talk a array of topics, from being a conservative, what do they call it back in the day, a pumplican, a Republican punk.
Yeah, yeah,
But
right.
and then you talk about music too, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, the Michael Graves show is streamed through the Facebook, which is it's the fan page that we have. It's Graves 1119. It's streamed over at my YouTube, which is if you go to officialmichaelgraves.com and you go, all the links to everything is there. The Michael Graves show is really I have two shows, if you will, that I produce. It's the Michael Graves show, and the Radio Deadly Show. Michael Graves Show has become a place where obviously we talk about all things Michael Graves. We don't get into the weeds, if you will, on issues, on heavy issues. We like to talk about music. We like to have fun, talk about what's going on. It's really I interview people, and it's me and my partner Arturo Santaella, my right hand man, and him and I just, we talk, and sometimes I'll pick up the guitar and I'll play. The Radio Deadly Show, which is a show that I produce as well, airs on censored.tv every Thursday. And you could
Okay.
go there to check it out. It's behind a subscription wall, and it's if you use the promo code Graves, it's really cheap. It's like $9.50 a month. But I do a show once a week, and that is really been focusing on my career as it's orbited in this culture of punk rock and all the politics and history of all that, as well as how that plugs into everything that's happening in the world.
Gotcha.
Um, so yeah, so I keep myself really busy. Last week on the show, I basically produced an hour and 20-minute documentary. It's got really great footage that no one's ever seen, and lots of music and stuff, and really tells the story of the last effort that I did called Ameripalooza.
Hmm, very interesting. Very interesting. That's really cool. And again, everyone can go check that out. The best source for you is officialmichaelgraves.com.
Hmm.
And we got a few minutes left. And I know, just like me, you're a huge hockey fan, growing up on the East Coast. And,
Yeah.
that was embedded in you. Were you a Rangers fan or a Devils fan?
Yes, in the house that I grew up in with my grandfather and my uncle and my mother, who's a very big hockey fan, you had to root for the Rangers, anything blue and stripes. So it was the Rangers, the Giants, and the Yankees. And if you rooted for anybody else, you couldn't sleep in the house.
There
It's
you
the
go.
rules.
There you go. There
My
you go.
grandfather used to go watch the Rangers back in the day. He would tell me he would tell me stories all the time about just going there and like fight, like the fans fighting and the team fighting, and they would just all go and fight.
Right, right. Yeah, I know. Everyone's, nowadays everyone's like, "Oh, it's violent. I can't watch it." But, I mean,
Yeah,
since the days of hockey, I mean, you can't have fights without hockey. You just can't.
it really is a part of the game. It is. And
Yeah,
I think it's an essential part of the game. I don't think I wouldn't advocate for the fans and everybody to be fighting, but
sure.
there's
Yeah.
something to say about the enforcer part of hockey.
Right. When you're making millions of dollars and you could lose your job tomorrow, you got to fight for your position. So, hey, why not? There you
Yeah.
go. So, what are the plans for, you? I know this pandemic hit everybody hard, but I know
Yeah.
it's kind of a mixed bag. You see artists out there that are just like, the world shut down, so I'm just going to stop doing anything. I'm just going to sleep. And then there's other artists out there kind of like you where you're like, I still want that face to be out there and I want my voice to be heard. So I'm gonna continue making music, or are you kind of like, I can go on vacation for a couple more months?
Yeah, I'm definitely not on vacation. I would love to go on vacation and uh even if I wanted to stop, it's like that athlete. I can't stay away from, it's not even the game. I don't want to say the game. I love to create, and I love the artistry, and I love all that it takes to be what I am, a music man and an artist. There's still things that just can't get away from, and I don't even know what it is, but it's the same thing that I've always felt all my life. It's that urge to create and to sing and to talk and to do all the things that I'm doing. So, in light of what's happened, obviously travel is difficult, and it's a complex situation when it comes to that. And so I have like a other smart musicians and artists. Um, I've pivoted to again producing more things that are web based, um, things that are able to be fulfilled in the environment that we live in. I'm still going to go out on the road. One of the things that sets me apart is like I just go to somebody's living room. You know, that's what Ameripalooza was. I played living rooms and garages and sheds and small clubs, and I'll play anywhere. I can play anywhere, and when life gives you lemons, you got to make lemonade out of it. And so
It's like when everybody
I'm
had those drive-by birthdays, it's like you can have drive-by concerts. I can see it now. You on the back of a truck, just pull up to a house, play a song, go to the next door neighbors. There you
it's
go.
I know it's absolutely insanity what's going down.
Yeah,
But this is punk rock, and uh, if you're in the if you're in the game of compliance, that's cool. But if not, I'll go anywhere. I'll play anywhere. You know,
do your
it's
thing.
it's sad and I know it's a whole different topic, but it really is sad to see what has happened at my level of the music industry. We've been wiped out. There's so many guys out there that they'll never be able to play again. They'll never be able to gain back the footing that they had and where they were. It's just they're not going to be able to do it, and it's sad because there's some great, there might be, who knows if we've lost an Eddie Van Halen or a Jim Morrison or a band like the Doors to this because they're unable to play. They had to stop, and now a year has passed, and a
Right,
lot can happen in a week, and people have to take care of themselves. They have to pivot away from from things when they're not working, and even myself, I made my money on the road. I had to stay on the road to make money,
right.
and that's all gone now, um and is not coming back anytime soon. So
Yeah,
thank God I'm in a position to where my head is kind of still above water a little bit, but we lost a lot of people, a lot of businesses,
yeah.
clubs and venues. It's decimated.
Right, right. It's crazy. I mean, just even major venues, it just reminds me of when everybody in New York was like, "Oh no, no more CBGBs." It's like that affected
Yeah,
everybody, And it's like, and now with everything going on too, it's like when everything eventually, if it does, everything opens up, it's going to be like, where are these bands going to play? Like you said, they're just going to be playing in living rooms. It really is sad. But Michael, it's great that you got your head up and you're still, making new material,
yeah,
and, you got the legacy behind you of Michael Graves. You got your website, you got a great team, you got a lot of people that support you, and, keep it up, man. And I can't wait for us to, I'll make a trip up to upstate New York, and we'll go and, we'll jam sometime. So, but
yeah.
thanks
Come on
again,
up.
man.
Come on
Thanks.
up.
Yeah. So thanks
I'll
again
put
for
you on the Radio Deadly show. We'll hang out.
why not, right?
I'll show you the
So
farm.
there you go. Yeah. Milk a cow, cluck a chicken, do something, right? So there you go. Well, Michael Graves, again, if everybody wants to, check out his music, listen to, his music. He's got a lot of cool artwork that's available for sale, a lot of merchandise, and we were just talking about supporting musicians, and that is one way you can help, Michael. It's great. You could, sit in your bedroom or go swimming and listen to, his music on, Spotify or a streaming app. But it's nice to have a physical copy too, so that
Indeed,
always supports you and helps you out. But
for sure.
and if anyone out there is watching this and they want to be a guest on the Vinnie Langdon Show, all you have to do is visit my website, thevinnielangdonshow.com, send me a message, and I'll be happy to, support, promote you, and help you out any way I can. And
That's
once
great.
again, here on the Vinnie Langdon Show, Michael Graves, good seeing you, and go listen to his music. And shout out to our man Arturo. And we'll catch you guys on another episode. All right. See ya.